What's going on, everyone? This is Sheets, and I'm going to be doing a early look at the NBA slate for this evening. Bobby may or may not be hopping in here. If he does, I will notice. We will take a look at it. Yesterday was not a good night for me in the NBA streets. It was all about hockey for me last night. NFL was not great. It was fine, though. But NBA was pretty poor. And NHL, I took down that GPP to make up for all of it. So that's good news. I would love to get an NBA sweat going at some point. It's been kind of a rough start to the season for me. But we will continue our process and continue to talk about our process and hope to get there. All right, so what I'm going to do is we are going to go through game by game, and I'll take an overview of the slate first. Then I will show some of my projections, and this is going to be my early look process, seeing who I think is going to look like good plays and then who Saberson would get me as good plays. But again, this is early, obviously. One thing to note is that 5-game slate and the 7:30 p.m. start. Let me see if it's any different for FanDuel real quick. Nope, it looks like that slate is exactly the same. All right. So again, if we're going to go live tonight, it'll be probably closer to 6. I love to wait as long as possible, just because when the news comes out at like 6:30, 7 o'clock, everybody's got to scramble, and we'll see. All right. So Memphis against New York. 119 to 110 implied totals, so it looks like a pretty good total comparing to some of these others. So you have 230, 230, and these aren't the actual totals. These are Saberson implied totals. 230. Wow, look at this. Every single game is exactly 230. As far as spreads go, the Philly game is a pick'em. Indiana's almost a pick'em, and the others are 8-point spreads. So if you had to, talk about the best game environment, I imagine Boston, Philly, since all the totals are the same, the one that's the closest game is most likely to have a good game environment. So Boston, Philly, and then followed by Indiana, Utah, and then the other 3. But again, it's not just about the teams, it's about the players that make up the teams, and it's about the salaries that make up the players that make up the teams, and about the lineups that make up the salaries that make up the team, and then the portfolio of lineups that make up the salaries that make up the players that make up the teams, etc. All right. So let's just start game by game. Memphis against the Knicks. Let's see which of these kind of show up for me as, at least point per dollar. Let me actually put my projections up in here for now. Now, again, if you have access to TrueDFS Premium, you could access both Goldie's and SaberSims and mine. I don't update them throughout the day. I will do it once, when I feel like it, and then once closer to lock. And I don't do it after lock. So again, if you're going to late swap, which you should, you're going to need to use SaberSims or some other source to get the updated projections after the slate locks. Okay. As far as point per dollar goes from this game, nothing looks that great. I mean, top one is Moran at 5x or 5.1x, and that's not particularly great. But when you go through the rest of the slate, you're not going to find too much better, honestly. I mean, when I rate these players by different metrics, I actually have Morant as one of the top 3 overall plays. So just because he's only 5x, again, it's in the context of the slate here. It looks as though this whole slate stinks with respect to value in general. So I think, Morant, for me, looks like one of the top options. And coincidentally, or maybe not coincidentally, my third top option is, there's Bobby. I'll add him to the screen. Hey, what's going on, Bobby?
I just got back. Sorry about that.
Nice. So I was, just to keep you up to speed, I told everybody, remind everybody, it's a 7:30 start tonight.
Yep.
A little bit later. 5-game slate, both the same on DraftKings FanDuel. I recounted to everybody that I did poorly last night in the NBA, but I made up for it by winning the hockey GPP, which is good. Yeah, another kind of lackluster NBA performance.
Which was the hockey one that you won?
The main GPP, the 10K for first.
Let's go. That's awesome.
Yep. So I figured I would celebrate by taking over Adam's hockey content today. So
nice.
I did that. Yeah. So I was looking at overall value for today. I was starting with the Memphis Knicks, and I noticed that there's very little, like, on the whole slate really to get too excited about. So like when I looked at it first, I'm like, okay, nothing looks that great. And I saw that the best, like, even point per dollar play was like Morant. But then when I'm comparing it to like other stuff on the slate, I actually have Morant and Cat to be two very, very relatively good plays relative to everybody else on the slate. So I mean, I'm kind of inclined to just say, all right, let's play both those cats, and so to speak, and get something going here. Does anything stand out for you here?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Just going back to last night, first of all, that was a really crazy night. I kind of wish I did play the NBA because the NFL was like, you saw it. It was the worst, most boring game ever. But I really, some of the takes, Wembanyama and Cade Cunningham win all the money. Apparently, I'm guessing everybody got on to Cade Cunningham after the Asar Thompson thing. But it's pretty wild. I don't know if you saw him. He missed the most shots in the history of the NBA. So I was sort of just a wild game to have a monster game like that. But you missed the most shots in history. As far as tonight goes, I still feel like there's always, we haven't had a day yet where there's not late news. The one thing I would say that really stands out to me tonight is that I would say that Shea is maybe, again, I just think the projection, if the game is close, I really don't see him, like, if he gets less than 50, he ain't doing it much. And we know there's a ceiling there. They still don't have everybody. I don't know. Something about it feels like a night to try to play Shea, but again, you have to hope some value opens up because there's not a whole lot out there. But he, to me, would, again, try and go out of my way to get to him. I think the projections just across in general are a little bit low on him. And I like the matchup here. The game should theoretically be somewhat close, even though OKC's got a decent total. So trying to get to Shea would be one thing. I do think the Morant thing makes a lot of sense. And Cat, I think Cat and Brunson are really close in this matchup. So I don't have a really strong preference either way on those two. Those would be my spend ups. And then the value for what we have now, you really don't have like any extreme value. Noah Clowney, Zaire Williams. We've been through those stories before, especially with Zaire, where it doesn't always go the way that it looks like it's going to. The other thing I would say is that I just think that, in that Michael Porter Jr. would be like a core guy for me today in that Brooklyn side. I just, without the other bodies there, they did raise the prices of him and some of the other guys, but I think that he would be the other one I would try to get to. So he and Shea, Clowney as the value that I like the best. I would be fine to take a shot with the Zaire Williams, but I just have a feeling by the time we get to locks, there's going to be more that comes up.
Yeah, I was just going game by game. I didn't even get to that.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that's how you were doing it.
Yeah, I was just doing Memphis Knicks for now.
Oh yeah, Memphis Knicks. I don't, outside of Ja, there's nothing that really stands out as like an awesome play to me for Memphis, and I do worry about them staying close in games on the road. But I do like Ja, and like you said, Cat and Brunson. Cat and Brunson are the two that I think make sense as spend ups, and I think OG is a terrific play in the mid tier.
Yeah, the other thing about Ja, and I hate to, this maybe seems like kind of an okay boomer thing to say, but like, even though Ja's been kind of like blah, you know what I mean, with respect to basketball, sometimes, coming to the Garden might get people a little more motivated than normal. And whether it be positively or negative, maybe the fans get on him somehow, you know what I mean, and then he gets mad, so. I do like him here, and yeah, I agree that the value is not going to be coming from this team. But what you could do, like you said, is play, Cat Brunson or one of those two with Ja and just get value from other games. So, speaking of which, I mean, let's go to the Toronto Boston Brooklyn game, which you already referenced, and this is where you're getting some of this. So, I actually see Manuel quickly at 5.4x, which again is good, but not insanity, right? But considering he's 6,400, I mean that's I think that's pretty strong. So I actually do like that. And then you have these same, like you said, these same Brooklyn guys that we've been talking about forever. Nick Claxton and Noah Clowney. But then, like you said, I mean, the solid guy that that you could really count on to at least attempt, to get fantasy points is Michael Porter Jr. So I'd rather pay the extra 1,000 for him than rely on Claxton, honestly. So yeah, I like all three of those guys, but Porter's probably my preferred. And then, as I mentioned, quickly from the other side. But what about, again, without too much here? I guess Scotty Barnes has to be in play here. So Scotty Barnes and quickly from Toronto, and then I guess Porter Jr. the spend up, like you said, and then some choice between Clowney and Claxton, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that the whole Brooklyn side, like you're I mean, I'm guessing in your builds you're getting a minimum of 2 from Brooklyn on most things. I would imagine anybody would be at this moment, just because even with the prices raised, it's just the only place that has like all the four. I mean, Clowney, Zaire Williams, Demon, Terrence Mann, Tyrese Martin, all of those guys are like reasonable enough to take shots on. I don't have a really strong preference, as I've said before with Brooklyn. They're really hard to gauge, and they do play a lot of bodies, even though they don't have a lot of good players. They play a lot of guys. At some point, I think they'll start letting the rookies play more. But right now, it's hard not to use this for our value. Although we might have some other stuff come up, hopefully between now and lock.
So one thing I pointed out, again, these are not actual totals, but these are the Saberson totals. That this is kind of a fun thing. It's like all 5 games have like 230 implied totals, like every single one of them, like the exact same. And the only one of all those games that is the legit pick'em is Boston Philly. And then there's Indiana Utah, which is about 2, and then all the other 3 are like exactly the same, like 7 or 8. So I don't think it's funny. So Boston Philly, one of these, and this is where I guess this is the top point per dollar play. That would be Keta from Boston. He's like 5.6x, at least at this projection. I do have him higher than Saberson myself, so maybe he'll show up a little worse for other users. And then you have the normal, the other guys in Boston look fine. Pritchard, White, Minot, and Jaylen Brown. Now, if you want to, again, like you mentioned Shea, and what I was going to say when you were talking about him is there's not a lot of like just raw fantasy points. You know what I mean? He projects like 6 points higher than like the next guy.
Yeah.
So but if you're gonna just on a kind of compact slate, I mean, a guy that can outscore him is, I mean, if you think that 50 is a light projection on Shea, I mean, when's the last time Maxey at 44? So, I mean, he's looking like very, very low owned here.
Maxey hasn't scored less than 47 in a game this season.
Right. So,
and yet the project. This is the other one that again, it's if you get value though. And look, they're going to start giving Embiid apparently at some point, a few more minutes. We'll see.
Okay.
But we could just go back and look back at every single day and just say, you know what, Maxey was never projected appropriately this whole season.
Right.
He just smokes it every single time. They play lightning quick. The offense, everything revolves around him now. Yeah. And he's averaging 57. Okay, like I don't know what exactly we're worried about here. So I agree with you that Maxey is a guy, again, who's going to get like no ownership. The projections, my guess is by the end of the day, the projections go up on him just because it does feel like 44 is kind of ridiculous. But I agree with that. I agree with that. Overall, I think if you just built now, you wouldn't be getting a ton from the Philadelphia side. But I think that on the Boston side, you have a bunch of like plays that you're just fine with. That's sort of how I feel about all of them. I think Jaylen Brown, this is fine. This is a good matchup. I mean, they're playing fast now. Derek White, Peyton Pritchard. I wouldn't touch any of these guys like to hand change a projection, but I know I'd be getting some pieces of Boston, and you have some volatility here. Keita's he'll put up his 15s and he'll put up his 40s. You got some real volatility with him, volatility with Minot. There's nothing to feel exactly like sure of, but I do feel like you probably would end up more on the Boston side, which also would lean into, hey, maybe there's extra value in playing that the Maxey at low ownership play. I like that idea actually.
Golden State against OKC, and you kind of hit on this different times during this preview, is that Shea is gonna rate the score the most fantasy points. So you could start again explaining to a 5-year-old. I mean, if you're going to build a good lineup, how about you start with the guy who's supposed to get the most fantasy points by a decent margin, and yeah, there's blowout risk, but it's not like they're a minus 30. You know what I mean? They're an 8-point freaking favorite. And I'll tell you what, if the game wins, if they win by 8, Shea's going to probably have 65. It's probably because 8 means not only did you probably play well, but he also is getting all the free throws at the end. So I don't think. Listen, I know value is tough to come by, but maybe you start with something like that and you figure it out. So I like that. Again, this is a weird.
I'll go a step further. I think Golden State's going to win this game.
Well, if that's the case, I mean, we could just kick it old school and play Shea and Curry.
It's so hard with projecting how go win. Okay, maybe, either way, they're going to cover. They're going to be right there. I don't think Curry's minutes. I don't feel like there must be something off because his projection shouldn't be really 34. I know now, but like.
I have him at 38.
Yeah, that makes a little more sense. I mean, I could see him being right around that 40, but yeah, there's something wrong with the SaberSim build on him because they've got him at 16 minutes, and there's just never a situation. He hasn't played the last 3 games. There's just never a situation. And by the way, if he sits, take away what I said about Golden State. But if he does play, and he's not even like on I don't see him even on the injury report. Like,
yeah, something's off
with the projections right now. So that's going to change, but it is hard to find something to love because it is more spread out now with Golden State. You've got Jimmy Butler, you've got Draymond, obviously. So I don't, even though I like Golden State in this game, I kind of want to wait to see what the projections update because this feels like they're all being under projected. Like their total fantasy points can't be that low. So
yeah, maybe you're right.
But I still really like Shea. And again, if I think the game's ever going to be close, it's just worth it to try to get there. The problem is you mentioned Quickly. I mentioned Porter. We talked about Ja. We talked about Cat and Brunson. There's a nice 9K and under build out there for you if you want it. Or if we get value, you can say, let's go, let's play Shea and maybe let's play Maxey and get a little bit different that way. But I do think these under 8K play, under 9Ks, under 9K, but under 8K especially, that's sort of the build I think you'd be running into right now. I'm not sure that'll be the same when we get to lock because every single day we are going to hear about something that we didn't expect to happen, whether it's a different starting lineup or somebody injured. It's going to happen.
So this is not going to be a particularly earth-shattering take, but I think there's enough value in this Utah-Indiana game where you could just argue just play like a bunch of dudes from here. Starting with the way I have them ranked: Nurkic, Filipowski, and Ace Bailey. I mean, all of them are over 5x, and this is just on the Utah side. And then you have the regular guys, the Keontae George and Lowry, who never really project great as far as point per dollars go, but both of them can put up numbers in the right environment. And then on the other side of this, I mean, I guess you'd have to start with what would seem to be like kind of a cringy high price by Pascal Siakam. But I'll tell you, I think you're right. I think there's something wrong with the entire SaberSim model.
Yeah, I think that's what we used to know.
They have him at 37.
Yeah.
And I have him at like 45. You know what I mean? So there's a. I mean, needless to say, I think I'm closer.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so we'll obviously all this will adjust. But Nurkic, they have him was kind of what I have. I think 35 is pretty reasonable for him. So I do like all that. And what else from Indiana? Nembhard, I guess. looks reasonable. Yeah, I mean, so this is the obvious kind of like late night hammer type game that if you don't feel like, like messing around, I mean, you can just play these guys. But I do think you probably want to get something from the Brooklyn, maybe the Keta from Boston. I don't know. It does seem like a pretty like blah slate.
Yeah, it is, and I think that some things will change. I would say that the right thing to do is to probably not play Nurkic. At what's going to be extremely heavy chalk, I think there are a million bus paths for him, including just there's going to be games where they just play him like 14 minutes. I'm telling you, this is what Utah does.
Yeah.
So I like it for in my early builds, he would end up there, but hopefully with late swap, and then maybe even if I had to downgrade his projection, I don't feel great about that play. I do think that the Filipowski is the piece of value that would be probably the most interesting to me on the whole slate, just because, again, it's the last game. Same thing with Ace Bailey. Like, I'd rather be able to shift between these games, and just even if a different starting lineup comes out for any of these teams, which could totally happen with Indiana and Utah especially. This game feels almost like most of the guys playing are going to be like probably should still be in college, and then you get the really weird old guys like Nurkic. I just feel like something about it feels fishy to me. I would like Ace Bailey and Filipowski the best.
Well, interestingly, the Keta at the center position is kind of looks like an equal value to Nurkic. So I imagine that. I mean, I think both their ownerships are going to be kind of big, but like restrained by the other. I guess. I guess people, you'll see a lot of two center builds there, and I would love to think of a third center. But oh my God, it's so funny! I didn't realize not only is Cat like not just center eligible, he's not even center eligible.
Yeah,
like I didn't even realize that he's like. He's pure forward / power forward.
It's really silly when they do that to me. I did want to point out one more thing just about the Nurkic thing. And look, it's going to backfire. If you told me Nurkic was going to be low owned and he was only projecting at 25, I'd be like, oh, let's play him. You know what I mean? Let's take a shot because there is a ceiling there. But we're assuming a lot by this Nurkic play at 6,100. Like, okay, it's because Kessler's gone that all of a sudden Nurkic is going to play a million minutes. I just don't think that's how Utah thinks at all. And I don't expect him to be over 30 tonight. And I think that there's a lot of ways this game plays out where you don't even need a traditional big and they end up with Filipowski playing center a lot. That's the one I just feel like, look, I'm not saying that he can't put up 40. He totally can. I just would rather, I think it's really hot to have his median projected at 35, a number I don't think he's hit this year. I know Kessler's gone, but I just don't see them. They're not going to turn the keys over to Nurkic. There's no real reason to. So we got him at 27 minutes. There's a path where he plays 20 minutes, and I would rather play the young guy.
Absolutely. But that's an interesting take there. That I didn't even realize that Filipowski can do that. Can play center also. But yeah, he's eligible for center, so I should have noticed that. So yeah, like if Indiana just does, I don't even know how Indiana plays this year.
They like to do the same thing. They just don't have any other players. They got Nembhard back now.
They still just kind of run it up and down the court.
Yeah, but they can't do it the same way. So it's like they try, but it's just when you don't have the quality bodies. But they've gotten a little bit healthier, so they should be a little bit better, better than we've seen so far this year. And we didn't mention Nembhard much, but Nembhard, like talk about same price, worse projection. I think Nembhard's a much better play than what's his name than Nurkic is.
Yeah, he's the guy that was showing up as my top Indiana guy. So that's good. So Miles Turner's he's injured.
Miles Turner plays for the Bucks.
Oh, okay. So yeah. Okay. So in either case, he's out.
Yeah, that's why you still got Isaiah Jackson as the.
Oh, so what kind of? So do you think Isaiah Jackson is more of like a traditional like big guy?
He's a big. He'll never catch. I mean, he might catch the ball in the post. He's not like trying to post you up or anything.
I'm trying to test whether how realistic, not how realistic, but if there's a path for what you said, like maybe to get Nurkic like under 20 minutes. That's a big leverage spot if we can.
Yeah, I just think it's going to always be all over the place with his minutes, and I really think it's hard. I think we'd all be, anybody who says they know would be lying. They're going to play Kevin Love his normal 12 minutes. So that's 12 minutes gone. And again, they might play him together, but they might play him and Filipowski together. But Filipowski is at 20 minutes. That could be Filipowski can play 26 and Nurkic can play 20. It's not going to be surprising. I just think we should always beware of value from Utah Again, it's the last game, so it makes more sense early in your builds to do it. But when you're late swapping, I just want to say I do think this median projection that Nurkic is supposed to score 35 here, or whatever the hell, whether it's 33 or 35, I just don't think that's a realistic number. I think the number should be closer to 29, 28 as a median, because he will get 40s, but he'll also get plenty of 20s and 18s and things like that.
One thing I'm noticing here, I'm looking at some of these projections. It looks as though that these big discrepancies between SaberSim and mine is pretty relegated to this Indiana game, I think. Like all these other ones look like kind of like
they make more sense.
Similar, but this Indiana game, I think they have just something.
Well, I think that I would bet throughout the industry that you're going to see different projection styles on Nurkic tonight. It's really hard to get an idea of a median for him. I truly believe that, and that's why, like I said, if he was going to be sub 10%, maybe you lock him in. If you're telling me he's going to be, I think at this point he would end up 50% at the slate locked right now.
Let me ask you something else. So when we were talking about Maxey, you were saying that there's a possibility that Embiid is going to play some more minutes.
I just think at some point that's something we should look out for. I mean, Philadelphia has proven they can be competitive, and we haven't seen it yet from the Embiid. They've kept him. They did. He did play his last two games that he played. He played 26 instead of the 20 that he was limited to at the beginning of the year. So it's already starting to happen. And I guess the question you're going to come up with is, can we play him?
Yeah, I was going to ask.
And I think the answer is yes, especially because you add little extra things like a what's it called, a rivalry game-ish. You know what I mean? Like everybody knows Philadelphia's rivals are New York and then Boston, and Boston's are New York and Philadelphia. You maybe get an extra couple minutes out of them in a game like this.
Not only that, but what I was kind of more getting at also was that just like with all this center value, I mean, like if you could play anybody else at the center position and put up a number, you're going to be in business. That's why I asked about Embiid, because all these other guys are don't look that great. I mean, Claxton.
Can I point out something that SaberSim has? This is why for basketball, looking early in the day for projections is going to be very tricky. You just got to get the stuff in your head like that. This is not right. So they have Embiid, and obviously there's something wrong with their system, because they've got Embiid projected at 34 fantasy points, and they've got him projected to play 12 minutes.
Yeah, that seems pretty efficient.
I don't even know how it doesn't automatically correct or something. But yeah, both Embiid and Maxey are going to have higher projections by the end of the day. I actually think Embiid will get played a little bit tonight, and I think it's totally reasonable to play him.
What are some other straight centers in this? Like nobody.
But you do. Well, I don't mind Claxton. I like Keita, as we talked about, but again, you got to.
Right, but then he's chalky.
He's chalky.
Aside from Chalky and Nurkic.
Right. I think that Nurkic is going to be the one who's so much more popular. If Nurkic really ends up double the ownership of Keita, then give me all the Keita. If it was reversed, I could make a case the other way. You know what I mean? It's an ownership game. The one who sort of no one's going to play if you wanted to get something, and look, this is what we do on the early things. We talk through ideas, right? The one that would be potentially interesting would be Jack Londale. It's not click, but it differentiates your, let's say you play Londale and Keita, who are both 48 and 47. I don't think you play Londale over Keita, but I think if you play both those two spots and use that as your value for center and at low ownership, I think you're going to like some of the builds you get. And I think that Londale is say a lot of things about him. He's consistently been productive, not in a major way. You know what I mean? He's averaging 22.5 fantasy points per game. You could argue that against the Knicks, you need a little bit more size. He's always got a potential. He's going to play somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes. He's played 28 and 29 his last two games. If he plays 28 minutes, I think that's a really reasonable pivot. So.
Oh, wow. So who plays? So Demon is on what team? He's on Brooklyn?
Who?
Igor Demon.
Yeah, he's on Brooklyn.
He's great. I love him.
You're kind of guy.
No, I remember him from the tournament.
I like him too. One of their first team in history, 5 first-round draft picks this year, and none of them are really playing.
Oh, really? BYU?
No. The 5 first-round picks for the Nets had 5 first-round picks.
For the Nets. Oh,
and none of them were wowing. I think that the Demon is probably the.
Oh, you know what? it wasn't. That wasn't this what happens. You get old, you remember certain things, but not all of them. So no, what I was thinking of was something completely different. You told me not about BYU. What was the team? Didn't like Rutgers have like a bunch of first round picks, but they were like terrible or something like that?
Yeah, Ace Bailey and Ron Harper's son.
Right, like how those two guys play for Rutgers and they're not doing anything, right?
Yeah, and Rutgers was terrible, but Devin is the BYU guy.
No, I know that, but I was trying to think of the other thing.
Yeah, it's weird like that. I mean, like I know it sounds, everybody thinks this whatever about Ben Simmons, but Ben Simmons, people like led all of the nation in scoring and rebounding in college, and his team was like, he looked like he was going to be the next greatest thing you've ever seen, and his team was, I think they were nowhere near 500. I mean, Kevin Durant and PJ Tucker played for Texas at the same time, and Kevin Durant had one of the best freshman seasons in history. And they were like an 8 seed or whatever, it's so weird how it doesn't always translate in college. The NBA is a really different game.
Is he still in the league, Ben Simmons?
I don't know why what did the Clippers end up doing with him? I don't know what they ended up doing. I don't know what's happening, but effectively I expect him to pop up all the time and in and out from here and there, but I don't know what the hell's going on with that guy's career.
He was I mean, legit. I mean, like he was like the nuts guy. You know what I mean? Like
he was. And by the way, even in the NBA, this guy was first team. This guy was all NBA, and he was, he's been first team all defense a bunch of times. He's been all defense top 3 teams, a bunch of times. There's a lot of things that looked. And by the way, in college, the big knock on him was that he couldn't defend and that all he could do was score. Really, just so funny how people do things. I was reading the Shohei Ohtani, one of the. When he was coming over to play for the Angels, there was another, other GMs were like, he'll never be able to pitch in baseball. He can't throw hard enough. And the other guys were saying he doesn't have any real major league power. It's all against, guys who will never play again. It's just really funny how some of these old scouting reports come back and look so silly. But yeah, it's a small slate. The small slates, even the ones that I don't like, including this one, have been where I've done the best this season. So,
okay.
So we'll see. I'll be live at 6 Eastern.
6 tonight. Okay.
6 because it's 90 minutes before lock, and we'll go over it, and then I'll go over it in the Discord with anybody else who wants to talk about it who's a member.
All right, sounds good.
All right, bud.
See you.